Hi, PJ Scott here with another edition of Veterans Forum, and we're going to talk about Pearl Harbor Day. And this is an important historical program, and I am really pleased to have three Pearl Harbor survivors with me today. I interviewed these gentlemen last year at Post 30, and unfortunately Post 30 was not designed to be a studio, so I really feel fortunate to get you gentlemen back in. Let me introduce them. We've got Don Green, who was on the USS Pyro, and then we have Jorgen Tweiten on the USS Regal, and then we got Frederick Ray on the end, who can still fit in his uniform, people, who is on the USS California. And they're all going to give us their stories. They were in the Navy when Pearl Harbor happened, so they weren't part of the onslaught that joined up afterwards. They were already there. Don, let's start off with you. When did you join the Navy?
I joined the Navy in 1940. I joined the Navy with my twin brother.
Now, do you have a picture of you and your handsome twin brother? And what encouraged you to join the Navy?
I decided that I needed a job.
Oh, that would be very encouraging,
And
yes.
My brother was in a vocational school, and he wasn't going to let me go in the Navy unless he went with me. So we joined the Navy together, and we shipped out together.
Okay. Now, does that mean you were on the same ship?
We were on the same ship until such time as they had to split family members up, and that was in 1943.
Okay, yes, that was that, some of you may remember the Sullivan brothers story. So after that, what was it, 4 or 5 brothers all went down on the same ship. So you and your brother were separated after that?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
We were separated after that, and he remained on the Pyro during the war years, and I lost him in 1999 from cancer.
Oh, okay. Now, what did your folks think about you joining the Navy? Both their twin boys off to see the world.
Well, for a while they didn't quite think we'd pass the physical, but we did because they were late in calling us up in July of 1940.
And where did you go in the Navy? Where were you living at the time when you went in?
New Bedford, Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
And we shipped out through Boston and went on Newport, Rhode Island. And from Newport, Rhode Island, we left for further transfer to the Pyro. We weren't assigned to the Pyro at the time. We were going along with 250 recruits, and we transited the Panama Canal, and on the way to San Diego had an option to stay on the Pyro or the Saratoga, the Chicago, or small craft in Pearl Harbor.
Now, what was your rate? Because for people who don't know it, there are jobs specifications, specialities within the military. What was your job description?
Well, eventually I became a ship fitter, welding and working with steel, working with sheet metal.
Now, was this what you were doing when December 7th happened?
Yes.
And your brother, what was he doing?
He was a storekeeper.
Oh, lucky guy.
We were both third-class petty officers. We just made that rate. So this was a new job for us, and we still had a lot to learn.
Okay, well, before we get to December 7th, let's hear Jorgen's story. When did you enter the Navy, and where were you living, and so on and so forth? Brief bio on you.
Well, I lived in Tacoma,
and
I joined the Navy in 1942, and I was supposed to go in with 4 other guys.
No, wait a minute. You couldn't have joined the Navy in 42.
Yeah, in 41.
Okay.
41.
Okay.
I joined. And
What made you join in 41 before all the hoopla happened?
well, my brother was hurt in Alaska, and he was blinded, and so I was asked to go in the Navy or do something to take care of myself. And
How old were you at the time?
well, at the time I was 18 years old. Went down, joined in Seattle, and took the bus down to San Diego in the boot camp down there. And
Now, do you have any pictures of yourself in boot camp?
Yes, I do.
Let's see what kind of handsome 18-year-old you were going to defend your country.
There's a boot camp company. This is my company here. And this is the company while we were in radio school.
Oh, so you became a radioman.
Yes, I was.
Now, where did you go to school for that?
In San Diego.
Oh, okay.
And it was That was pretty difficult for me. And
Did they shove you into it, or did you want to
no,
go?
I wanted to go in.
Oh, okay.
And I saw a picture of some guys going out in some commercial ships, and they were radioing back and forth, talking to each other. And I said, boy, that's a neat way to go and be out at sea and then talk to somebody miles away.
Right.
So I decided, well, I'll be a radio man.
So is that sort of the emailing of yesteryear for our younger viewers? This
I guess so.
okay. What point did you get on the Regal?
Went aboard the USS Hull in San Pedro,
Uh-huh.
and we took the ship over to Pearl, and the Regal was there, and I was transferred to the Regal. And the ship was ready to go into the Navy Yard.
Oh, okay.
And this is,
So it needed some repairs?
well, we needed new engines.
Oh, well, yes, a
And,
good engine is. Okay, let's get to our man in uniform on the end, Frederick Ray. Give us a little thumbnail sketch when you went in the Navy, why, where you were living, and how you ended up on the USS California.
I was living in Perryville, Missouri, and I was going to school. And I was also working 30 hours a week for a grocery, well, A&P.
Uh-huh.
And I just got tired of those kind of hours, and so
Right. Were you in high school at the time doing this as well?
well, no, it was when I first, I knew I was going in as soon as I was 17, and so I didn't I didn't start my junior year.
Oh, okay.
But and that was in 1940.
So you knew you were destined for the Navy, huh? Now, your dad was a Navy man,
My
was he
dad
not?
was in the Navy, and
Right,
I'd heard about him
right,
and his jobs during the First World War,
right.
and so I wanted to go in the Navy.
Gee, I hope you've written those World War I stories down for your children, because stories have a way of getting completely exaggerated or not. They miss the mark if it's just hearsay. So
Yeah, well, I exaggerate everything now.
okay, you
yeah.
heard it here, folks. Okay. So you did end up going into the Navy, and was it 1940 you said there, Fred?
Well, I got all my paperwork done in December of 40,
Oh, okay.
and then on the 18th of December, well, I was 17, and they shut down the boot camp in the Great Lakes, and so I had to wait until the 7th of January before I actually got sworn in. And so
And
that's,
did you immediately go to boot camp?
oh yeah,
Oh, what an awful, awful time. The winter
the
time to
the
go
next
to Great
day-
Lakes.
oh yeah, it's nice up in Chicago in the wintertime.
Yes, my son went to Great Lakes and got double pneumonia for his trouble when he was in
Yeah.
boot camp 6 years ago. So, yeah, wintertime wouldn't have been the best time. So then, did you get any other training after you left boot camp?
No schools. They didn't have the schools they have then they do now. They only took the brighter people, smarter ones, and they sent those to school, and the rest of us they sent out on ships. So I went right to the California
Which was
in
home
March.
ported where? In fact, I have an artistic display here of the USS California. I believe that ship was built, was it during World War I?
1921.
Oh, after. Okay, after World War I. And according to the information that I had, this is a nice Navy calendar my son had. It did sink, but they resurrected it. Is that right? The California? They brought her back
yeah.
up? Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It took them about 2 or 3 months, and to get it back into Bremerton.
Right.
But it was home. I don't know where the home port was. I went aboard here in Bremerton in March of 41.
Okay. All right. Now let's get to the infamous day, December 7th. I've got a nice book here called Warships, and they go all through the time spans in America. And this is what we're talking about here. December 7th, 1941, as FDR said, the day that would live in infamy. And my 3 guests were there. So you're going to get an eye account. First firsthand account here. Now, Don, what were you doing the evening of the 6th?
The evening of the 6th, let's see, most of the time I was asleep until midnight. At midnight on December 7th, I was a petty officer to watch for the next 4 hours, which is, and turned out to be my first job as a third-class petty officer. To have this this particular honor, as far as I was concerned, it was my first time. At the end of my tour of duty, at 4 o'clock in the morning, I retired to my bunk, and suddenly I was awoke by the Army doing all the shooting, so we thought, and which I didn't think was very good because I had that privilege of sleeping in on this particular day.
And my God, it was a Sunday morning. How dare they?
Right. And subsequently, General Quarters went down, and I made a beeline for my gun station, which is a 3-inch anti-aircraft gun. Well, the job I had on that gun was to retrieve the shell after it had been fired, to make sure that it had dinged up the deck and so forth. But we were short-handed, so I took the position of pointer, and another sailor took the position of a trainer.
Now, at what point did you realize this wasn't the Army doing drills? The Japanese were attacking.
Well, we could see all the particularly the smoke from where we were stationed. We were in what is known as Westlock Ammunition Depot. Being an ammunition ship, we had a lot of ammunition on board, and of course, we probably had as much ammunition on board. In fact, we did for the Nevada. We had 14-inch shells and powder for the Nevada that we were going to discharge Monday morning. However, there was a lot of ammunition on the pier. There's a lot of ammunition on floats around us. And while this is going on, 4 planes attacked us. 3 planes had only machine gun.
And you saw the rising sun, and you definitely.
And one was a plane came by that I could see the pilot, see his red scarf and his leather helmet, and the bomb bay opened, and I decided it was time to get out of here, and I started to run and then realized it was a kind of a dumb thing to do, and he dropped a bomb. The bomb missed the ship by about 4 feet, went through the pier, and
What were
blew
you
up.
thinking during that time? I mean,
I was scared.
Yeah, I would have been. I think you're putting it real diplomatically, because knowing that you're on a ship that's full of ammos, you could have all been blown to Kingdom Come and probably taken out, what, 1/8 of the island with you?
Probably so. Yeah,
Yeah.
We had an awful lot of ammunition in and around us and on board us, and the ship was damaged, and but it wasn't. It was minor damage, and we shot the plane down, and we continued to stay on watch, and finally the planes left, and.
Now, how many men did you lose on the Pyro, or were you fortunate?
We were fortunate. We didn't lose anybody. We were very fortunate. The Pyro was at the ammunition depot, and the ammunition depot was not mentioned as a part of history as ever having been bombed. The history says the ammunition depot was not bombed, nor the fuel depot, and this is one of the oversights by the Japanese, but it's not so. History points and writes about the ammunition depot being attacked by the Japanese.
Now, do you have any other pictures of yourself in your uniform, and do you have a picture of the Pyro?
I don't have a picture of the Pyro, but I do have a picture. This is myself when I made chief the first 4 years in the Navy.
Wow, that's going up
And,
the ranks fast.
which
Well, it was wartime, wasn't it?
It was wartime, and it was a privilege.
What a handsome guy you are. Were you married when you went in?
No, I wasn't married
Were you
when I
married
went
by
in.
the time you got out?
Yeah, I was.
I can
time
see
I got out,
why.
right.
Yeah.
And
No.
then in later years, and this is as I was in later years.
So you made it a career?
I made it a career.
Okay.
I did 20 years and 10 in the reserves.
Okay, now before we get to what your folks must have been thinking back home, let's get Jorgen's experience. So what were you doing the evening of December 6th? That was a Saturday night. Were you out dancing it up with the locals?
No, I was sleeping because I had the midnight watch, which ran from 12 o'clock until Right. We
Oh, so,
rode-
so both you boys had
Yeah.
had the duty at the same time.
Right.
Okay.
And, so I was up in the radio shack practicing code and doing nothing but just keeping awake.
Right, right.
There wasn't any messages coming through, so we, being aboard ship and in the Navy Yard, we didn't expect anything, but we had to keep the radio shack.
That's right.
We had a 3-man or a 3-position watch.
Well, with you working in the Radio Shack, did you hear any scuttlebutt that you might be attacked?
No, but we joked about it, and we all thought that we copied a lot of messages out of China coming back, and our captain was he was stationed over there, and so he was quite interested in what happened over there. So we got some of the words, but the spelling, of the Chinese names, boy, they were just
Real tongue twisters, huh?
They were, and we never knew if they were right or not.
Right.
But we did sort of joke that someday that we would be fighting the Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, in the morning when we were finished our watch, and I went down to had breakfast, and then I was climbing into bed, and then we heard this. What we thought was the Army shooting.
So you thought it was the Army too,
Yeah,
huh?
we did, and I jumped out of my rack and looked out through the port, and I saw these 4 Japanese planes coming right straight for us, and all 4 of them were shooting, and so there was 4 or 5 of us that stood around, and we didn't know what was going on, and then until they flew by, directly overhead, and we saw the meatballs there, and then General Quarter sounded, and it was ran up to this Radio Shack again, and I didn't have any fear until I saw some blood dripping down on the ladder, and then at that time I got a little frightened, if you want to say frightened. I was scared.
How about terrified?
And ran back to the Radio Shack, and as soon as I got back there, everybody on the ship was moving in every direction because we were in the Navy Yard. We didn't have any ammo aboard the ship.
That would really
so-
compound my fear. You didn't even have the ability to fight back.
We didn't have any ammo except what there was the quarterdeck, and he had his .45, and that was basically it.
Well, what kind of damage did the Regal get?
We suffered 2 close misses. One both off the port side. One was on the port bow, and the other one was underneath the stern. And this lifted. I was running messages, and I saw this bomb.
I imagine this was terribly chaotic.
Oh, it was, and the bomb was coming down, and I just happened to look up, and I could see it coming, and I ran around and I ran underneath the ladder, and for protection. What a place to be!
Were you trying to get tight with your guardian angel during this time?
And that one sent like 62 shrapnel holes in the ship, but it missed us.
Now, I'm assuming since you did see blood coming down the ladder that the Regal did lose some of its shipmates.
I'm not sure what we lost, but somebody got hit, and how the blood got there, I have no idea because I wasn't the first one up. So.
Okay. Well, Fred, let's get to you because time's marching on. December 6th, the evening. What were you doing? Did you get a chance to go out dancing that night?
No, I went shopping for Christmas.
Oh, okay. So you were a good son and went shopping for Christmas. Okay.
And luckily I had left the things at the store, and they were going to mail them for me.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And so they got back all right.
So
But,
when did you know that? Where were you when all if I may use the expression, hell broke loose.
I was up playing cards on the bridge. The admiral, we had Vice Admiral Pye aboard,
Oh, huh.
which is the commander of battle force, but he was ashore, and so we took over his deck up there for cards while he's gone. But I looked out the window and I said, "Hey, what's those people doing practicing on Sunday?" And then somebody saw a spot and said, "They're not practicing, they're working." And so we all ran outside. Well, it took about 10 or 15 minutes till the admiral got back, and he said, hoist flags for all the ships to get underway that can. And there was only one of them, the Nevada, got underway, and it got up about even to us, and then it started getting hit too. But
Now the California,
it lost over 200 people.
yeah.
Over 200 got killed, quite a few got wounded. We took
Now where were you when all this chaos is happening? What part of the ship were you on?
up on the bridge.
You were on the bridge, so you had a bird's eye view then.
Well, the admiral says, hoist the flags to tell the ships to get underway if they can. And so we did that, and then there was nothing else we could do except watch. The day before, we had taken on supplies. There was a box of potatoes right below the signal bridge, and guys down there was throwing potatoes at the planes as they fly by us.
Now what was the deal? The California didn't have any armature, no guns, no bullets? I mean, what was
Everything's locked up. You lock up all the ammunition when you get in port. And so everything's locked up. However, at 8:30, the California did shoot down a torpedo plane, and then at 8:32, they got credit for assisting. There was two ships. Credit was credited with shooting down the
Now,
second
do you have
one.
any pictures of yourself in that time zone there, Fred?
It says Fred Ray, 17, lost his life in the first attack here.
How come your parents, along with several of your shipmates, were reported as killed in action? Tell us about that.
Well, when we swam ashore,
Your
From
ship
California,
is sinking
well,
and you have to swim out of there.
immediately, which was only 75 feet. Well, they grabbed a bunch of us and sent us over, about 30 of us, I guess, over to the ball field, and gave us the 1903 Springfield rifles and said, when they attacked, well, it'd be up to you to stop them.
1903, I would have thought you would have at least had World War
I didn't even know how to load the thing.
Yeah.
But no, I'm from Missouri. I knew how to load it.
Oh, did you? Well,
I
good.
shot squirrels and rabbits.
Praise the Lord for some
when I was a
little
kid, yeah.
mercies here. Yeah.
But we got the dugouts over on the ball field, and they said, you stay here till you're relieved. Well, the next morning they forgot to relieve us.
I
and
imagine in all the chaos, a lot of
and
things
so-
were forgotten. And so you did not make muster, and it was assumed that those people who did not make the muster the next morning for the USS California were KIA.
Yeah, this was in the St. Louis paper. Perryville Youth among the first to die at Pearl Harbor. And then here from Perryville, Missouri paper, Fred Ray, 17, lost his life in the first attack.
Oh, gee. Now, when did you know, because clearly you didn't know then, when did you discover that your parents were given the news that you were dead?
Well, it was sometime in January, the middle of January or something like that, because I went on the Astoria 2 or 3 days after the war started and went to sea. Well, we had no way of
I just
notifying your
cannot
parents.
imagine your parents getting, they did get those Christmas gifts, did they not?
Yeah, they
From
got
their
the
dead
gifts.
son. I mean, break out the hanky. When did they find out that you were okay?
I was just looking here, let's see. It was first part of January sometime.
Oh, okay.
January the 8th, I guess. Frederick H. Ray alive, the Navy Department reports. Well, that's when they found out.
But your folks did actually have a funeral service for you and everything, did they not?
Well, I don't know whether my folks had it, but the The whole town turned out. Perryville, Missouri was a small town at that time. It's not small now. It's about 7,000 people.
Right.
So they rigged loudspeakers on the outside the church and had the funeral. And I'm not going to have any when I die this time because I've already had it. But
Well, that's incredible. Don, tell us, what were your parents thinking back home when they heard about the Pearl Harbor being attacked? They had to be very concerned about their twin boys.
Well, it was getting close to Christmas.
Of course.
For shipping things, and we bought this table radio with a little magic eye in it. It was supposed to be a top of the line type of item, and so we shipped it. And of course, the next thing you know, along came this attack, and we didn't hear from for a while. Finally, one day we got a telegram, said they received the radio and glad that you're alive.
Okay, now what about your parents? Because we're running out of time here. What were your parents thinking when they heard about Pearl Harbor?
Well, I don't know what my father had died, but my mother was still alive, and I don't know what she thought because.
Well, take my word for it. I'm a mother. She was concerned, and I'm sure she was praying for you.
The one thing that I want to say was that while I was running messages back and forth, there was a destroyer laying on the opposite side of the quay, and he fired the 5-inch gun right over, and boy, looking at it, and if you don't think that's a fun, that be fired at, and then he just went right over our heads. And I don't know if he got anything or not, but they got underway. And
well, the good Lord was with all three of you gentlemen, and I am so proud to have you as guests. I'm proud to know you, and I want to thank you for serving your country in our time of really humongous crisis. Fred, I just can't get over how you can still get in your uniform.
well, you do your own cooking. I lost my wife about 5 years ago, and I've been trying. She didn't teach me how to cook, and so now I'm paying for it.
Oh, okay. So previous to your wife passing away, you probably couldn't have wiggled into it. She kept you well fed, did she?
She was a real good cook.
That's good. Well, listen, thank you on behalf of Veterans Forum. Thank you for serving your country. And gee, I wish we had more time to talk, but it just flew by us. This is PJ Scott with Veterans Forum, and I want to thank my camera people and the crew here at Bainbridge Island Broadcasting. God bless, and remember to thank our veterans. Freedom is not free. See you next time.